G'day all and welcome back to another week of Wind Against Tide podcast. If you can hear my soulful low voice, it's because I've just recovered from the plague.
Nah, you're fine, buddy. You're fine.
No, but I did have a little bit of a scare. Well, I wasn't actually scared. I had
scared.
some symptoms for a few days there and had to go get tested and everything. And turns out I've got some sort of non-COVID cold.
Awesome.
And now I'm all good to go again.
Nah, retest.
Yeah, we got Joey back in the studio.
Hey guys, Happy New Year. Good to be here.
Oh,
we got Brendan Wing here as well.
Benny seems to be in some kind of paint factory.
Okay.
What is he doing?
I don't know.
Oh no, it's a 4x4 workshop.
What are you doing there, Brendan? Oh, some sort of old red car. So tell us about that red thing behind you.
Oh, well, I'm just at the workshop, at my mate's workshop. So I'm just tinkering with cars, old boy.
Yeah?
Can I turn around? Can you turn the camera in on these?
Yeah, we got it on you, buddy. Don't worry.
No, he wants to show the car.
Yeah, oh, shit, nearly dropped it. Is that better?
Yeah, there it is.
What is that, Camry?
Corolla.
That's my LXS 666.
Yeah. So is that an A9X or whatever you call it?
Dave calls it an AX9. Yeah.
So,
an L30X.
Well, tell us all about it then.
That's an LX for 5000. Yeah. I'm just here tuning. I've just got the motor going. I've just got it running. Yeah.
Can we start it?
Yeah.
Sounds pretty good.
So we're looking at this red shiny car.
It's exclusive for you.
Oh. No, that's cool.
When will it be completed?
Sitting on the dyno ready, boys. Look, ready to go.
Yeah.
Oh.
What's going on?
I turned off where it's a bit louder now.
Is it?
Okay.
We can barely hear it.
It didn't really come through our headphones very loud. But we'll take your word for it that it's very impressive.
No, I'm just working away, guys. It's got a lot of work to go. It's hard work.
So
that's what I do now, isn't it?
Well, so is this your new job? So you're a Tarana Flipper.
Well, no, owner, lover, enthusiast, and
owner, lover, enthusiast,
and sell a few.
You sell a few, do you? So you like some kind of Tarana dealer? Yeah.
No, well, the way I look at it is we're a storing icon, plastics that's finding them new homes for people who love them, and of course we want to make sure they're really nice when they get them. So
I feel like some sort of Seven Mate style car restoration show in the works.
No. Fishing, my passion for fishing is strong still.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So you've just come back from a journey of the soul.
Look, every year me and Finn go away flathead fishing. It's a yearly sojourn where we just go chase flatties for Christmas holidays. So it's quite possibly the stupidest time of the year to do it because you literally got 10,000 people at Lake Entrance, and the flatties are just over it. You know what I mean? They're just hard to catch.
Yeah.
We still have a ball.
So did you get any flathead, Benny?
Yeah. So this year was probably the hardest year we've had. We went for 7 days. I think we got about 20 flatties. That's it.
So you basically fished for 12 days straight and caught like 9 flathead.
7 days.
7 days.
We caught 20 flatties and I caught 19 of them. Finn caught one. Just pointing that out. G'day, buddy. How are you, Fimby? But he got the big one. He got the big dog. Classic Finn. Does it every time.
Yeah. And he probably casts about a third of the amount of what you are too.
That's Jeff, by the way. Jeff Whitehead. He owns this establishment. This is the full drive workshop. And he was just wanted to tell you that he caught the first one. So apparently that's the thing, the first one.
So, Brendan, you caught some fish. Was this your greatest one you got? On the screen now, if you have a look.
All right. Let me I'll help you out here. Right. So, flathead fishing, right? I've got this great screen, so go to someone. Yeah, that's better. So, flathead fishing, right, is like cod fishing, mullet fishing, snapper fishing, kingfish fishing, marlin fishing, everything that we've ever done as a crew or as individuals, we've always had to, what Dave would admit and agree, that we've always had to do it the hard way. We've never had fish on a string. Every single species we've sunk our teeth into, we've had to do it the bloody hard way. In other words, long, hard yards, fishless trips, don't know anything, start at the beginning, and all that, right? Flathead's no different, mate. I've been fishing for flatty since I was a kid. I've been loving them since I was a kid. I caught giants when I was a kid. But switching over to lures in the last 4 or 5 years has been an absolute challenge and a half, I tell you. Catching these big dogs on lures, especially at a place called Lake Tyers, where you've got to imagine the fish in that system, they're all catch and release. So every single one of them, once they're 80, 90 centimetres, probably being caught 30 times each or more. And let's be honest, they're probably sick to death of those fake lures tricking them, hurting them in the mouth, and then getting handled and released. So they're getting smarter and smarter all the time. And so you've got to keep up in the game and changing the game to catch these bastards. So the challenge is there. It's not as easy as everyone thinks. I'm sure there's days when they are easy. But I'm up there with gun fishers like Troy Eaton, the Lorax. And Troy Eaton owns that Reel It In brand. Does all the flatty lures and does all the flatty competitions. And I look up to him. He's an absolute gun of big flatties.
Yep.
And he was up there for 7 days. He didn't get a fish over 60 for the first 7 days. And that's absolutely, in my mind, a guru. So I feel quite privileged that we got fish over 60 in those few days we were there. But what we did different this time, because it was so hard at Lake Tyers, we snuck off the lake's entrance. Now, lake's entrance, we all know, should have big flatties in it, but it's not known for it, and people don't really go up there. In fact, all the locals at lake's entrance still go to Lake Tyers to catch their fish, right? So we're there for 3 days at lake's entrance, and we snuck out on the first day at a place called the North Arm. The water was like coffee. Terrible. Caught nothing. Next day, went out to the place called the Barrier. So we're heading out, now we're heading out sorting, and you've got that little like channel runs off to the right near the mouth there.
Yep.
Across from the main one that goes up to all the shops.
Yep.
We went up there, and we thought, we don't even know where to start. We didn't even know if there's fish in here. And what we did is it was just cobalt blue, crystal clear water. It was amazing. And it looks like it's a metre deep, but it's like 2 metres deep and stuff. So we were in there. So what we decided to do, what's the best way to catch flatties or find where the flatties are, is we put the main engine on, went up into the shallows, cruised around everywhere in the shallows until we started spooking fish. And all of a sudden we came onto this bank, fish shooting off there, and Dad's going, Dad, another one. Big cloud of dust, another one. He goes, that one was 700. That one was 800. So they're big fish. We think, shit, we found them. So the problem is we spooked them all, didn't we?
Yeah.
But one of the things we know about flatties is that they always go back to their lie. They do it in between tides. They do it if boats spook and they go back to their lie. Sure enough, over the next couple of days, we went back and hit all those lies one by one, so we pulled all the fish. And that's where we got most of the fish this year, and including a lot of fish in the 600 to 700 range, and one fish that was just under 800. Now, typically an 800 mil fish in Lake Tyers is your standard sort of, I'd say it's on par to say 8 kilo snapper say. It's a good capture.
Yeah.
So let's say in Lake Tyers it weighs about 8 pounds, 7 up 8 pounds. In Lake Tyers it's like 10 pounds. Just giant fish. So that fish that Finn got, let me just describe this to you. One of the most exciting things about flatty fishing for me is that you go and work these big vast sandbanks where you can't see a single bit of light. Just crystal clear water. It's super shallow, like 30 centimetres deep. It just looks like sand. But you know that somewhere on that sandbank, there's predators, apex predators living in the sand. But you don't know they're there. So you've got to methodically work and pepper that bank like a fan, like a fan across it.
Apex predators just cowering, hiding under the sand.
Well, that was
just
on the
dominating.
We didn't know he was there. He was under the fan.
Like this one here.
Water. Yeah. If you look right back against the dunes behind you, there's like 30 centimetres of water back there. And that's where we're going from. We're right up against the edge. So you can't see this little tiny plastic in 30 centimetres of water, it's hopping along the bottom. Next thing I know, just out of nowhere, the sand just explodes. It's a big dust of sand. And these freaks come flying out from the sand and just grab the lure. And that is what's exciting about flatty fishing for me. It's a bit like watching a tuna come up on a popper or something. It's just that exciting moment. It just explodes out of nowhere. You didn't know it was there. You get a heart rate. And then, flatty go hard. They actually go pretty bloody hard on light string. So that's what we do it for that moment. And obviously the goal every time we go is to get a 90 centimetre fish. Didn't happen this year, but the water was shit.
Yeah.
The water most of the place was brown. So that was our trip. We were up there with Joshy and Pawsey. Basically, didn't see them for 7 days.
They were in their flatty lie, their human flatty lie called the pub.
Yeah. So, give an example. This is our day. We get up at sort of 3:45, hitting the water at sort of first light 4:30. That's the first light down on the east coast. Get the first crackle. We fish till 7:30. Come back, rest during the day. Maybe go for a little bit of a midday flatty, spook run, and then hit sunset. Get home, you're exhausted, you crash into bed, and then you repeat it. Whereas the Pawsey crew, Pawsey and Joshy, Mitch and co, their day starts off about 8. They get out of bed and they're already swigging beers by that time. And they have a big cook up at the camp. And then we go fishing, we get back and they're just taking off to go fishing. So they'll go somewhere and I'll catch some brim on some pilchard somewhere and they'll pick it up after 30 minutes and they'll head off to one of the local pubs on the water. So something like, the Meatong pub. And they go to the Meatong pub, they often stock up on their slabs while they're there, head off out after lunch after a cannery. And there's one day that we caught them doing that. And we said, we'll see you back at camp. We all left together. Yeah. So we came back that day. We said, we'll meet you back at Lake Sentence. And they went missing. We couldn't find them back at camp. Through a few hours past, I said, I hope that mean maybe had an accident or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go over the car and go have a look for them. But before I go down the boat ramp, I'm just going to cruise past the Lake Sentence pub. And there I am at the lights. And I'm just sitting at the lights at the front of the pub. And I look in the window and it's like, Joshy.
Yeah.
And Paul, yeah.
Just in the pub.
Right, in the pub. So
in the shop pub window.
So they left there, two flats. We came back. And they basically did it every day. So that was their holiday. Good on them. It's very Aussie of them. Me and Finn chased the frogs. Well, we're a bit more hardcore.
So
that's cool. Hey, and it's good actually looking at those photos that you've given Adrian. It's good to see some nice in focus, beautifully composed photos. I didn't know you still did that.
Yeah, I was actually deliberately scared not to use 0.5 on my camera. David told me off, everyone.
It's just some of the previous years' efforts when we'd just discovered the wide lens on the iPhone. There was some interesting blurry brown log photos of the flathead you'd been catching. And I just encouraged you to go back to your grassroots of taking a beautiful, in focus, nice shot of the fish. And it looks like you've done that. So I'm very pleased.
I've taught a few people to be good photographers over the time, you know that?
Yes. No, you did.
So,
and now you've lost your way.
Found me way. Anyway, but yeah, so I know you've been able to come on the show for ages, but I always, as a priority, try to find something to keep me busy every day of the week. And but I would have come in there today, but David having COVID and all, I was a bit scared. So.
I don't have COVID. I got the tests and everything.
Yeah, I know. They're wrong.
So, Brendan, you love your flatty fishing. You've been doing it, every summer holidays for as long as I've known you. What actually got you into the flatty fishing? Like, you've got some kind of passion for it.
Most people associate me with mulloway, tuna, things like that, snapper. But the truth is, that's because I live with those species. But my heart, ever since I was a kid, with mum and dad and nan, and was going to Flinders Island. So I went to fish at Flinders Island. In Bass Strait there, as a kid, our family holidays would be 3 or 4 times to Flinders Island every year. And we would have we had an 86-seater bus up there converted to a camper. And we'd stay at a place called North East River, which we know a bit about lately because our friend Joan has been there and Ashley Helm's been there and caught some big fish. And it's just an amazing place. It's like heaven on earth. If you've never heard of it, check out North East River on Google Maps at Flinders Island. It's just like heaven on earth.
You'd love a couple of weeks there now, knowing everything we know now, wouldn't you? It'd be crazy.
Oh my God, there'd be some giant flatties in there.
Yeah.
And even back then, I had fishing over 90 centimetres in that system on bait. So many years later, I went back with lures and caught them up to about 70 centimetres on lures in there. But here's the interesting thing: they're not even dusky flathead. So we're talking about genuine giants that aren't duskies in that system.
So basically, you sent me this photo. I don't know if you can see that. That's like some old school photo.
Wow. Yeah, we'll see that. Right? That's not a dusky. And you can tell because the nose is round.
Is that a yank?
It's almost black.
It's a yank, blue spot flathead. And they do get to 90+ centimetres.
That's
and
huge.
20 pounds. As far as I know, me and Finn did some extensive search for photos of big yank flathead, and that's the biggest one we've ever seen.
Yeah, right. So you got the world record in blue spots.
Didn't they used to have massive ones on the wall at Port Albert pub? I think.
Yeah, well, they'd be Yanks. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, I never went in there,
Although-
but I remember people telling me. I think there was even some over a metre there.
Well, the thing about Port Albert and McLaughlin's Beach and stuff, there would be a bit of overlap there. There would be some duskies in that system, I believe, because Gippsland Lakes is one of the strongholds of dusky flat. It's just the next system along, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you can't rule out a mixture of duskies in there.
No.
But whether it's duskies or Yanks, you just set your mark. Like the mark for a dusky would be over 94 metre, and the Yanks, you just take anything up to 700 is an awesome fish. You got a 740 last year land base at Port Albert.
Yep.
Land base got a Yank. We filmed that for you fish. It's on the channel. Anyway, on the subject of you fish, nice to have you two back this week. I saw a video you put up.
Yeah? What did you see?
I saw Washo flying the drone around in the ocean like a lunacy.
So basically, I'm saving the UFish YouTube channel because no one uploads to it anymore.
Oh.
Hey,
Well-
we will be. For 2022,
Yeah.
that's going to be happening. Yep. I won't just be doing Taranas, I'll be doing UFish again.
Yeah.
2021, we just write it off as a business year, you know what I mean?
No, well, we're going to discuss our trip to Portland shortly.
Yeah. We just wanted to get your Flathead trip out of the way. Because why I called you, it wasn't about catching fish. I wanted to hear about the mishaps of the holiday because we all know fishing holidays don't go to plan. And I heard you had a lot of mishaps on this trip. Can you go through the list for us?
I'll just try and rattle them off. I still caught on fire.
What? Your boat caught on fire?
Literally caught on fire. There's a short in the wiring between the electric motor, batteries, and the engine. Somewhere there's a short. So the earth wire that was connecting the engine leg to the engine mount as a wire was glowing white hot like an element. And it was leaning on the cap, and there was actually smoke pouring off the boat. And people saw it. And holy crap! We just turned the power off and just water on it. That was the first thing that happened. The other thing that happened is I lost over $1,000 worth of lures out of the boat.
$1,000 of lures.
What happened?
Yep.
Joey wants to know what happened to your lures.
Okay, so here's the story. And I honestly do not know. They could have flown out of the boat, but it's unlikely given we just done 400 k's with them in the boat in a large plastic tackle box. I can't imagine how that's flown out of the boat.
Yeah.
But I did have.
You do have form.
Yeah. I did have a sleep. I had a power nap at a service station at Can River, and Sid said there was a guy looking around in the boat. Probably didn't know I was asleep in the boat. He may have done something with him. I also met another guy at Now who was looking at the boat. I don't think it's him, but he said, "I remember me Winger. I'm the guy you punched in the nose on Frankfurt here." And you said,
Are you serious?
I said, "Oh yeah." We all good. He goes, "Yeah, we're all good." That's cool. I don't remember it.
Just so many
yeah,
noses
yeah,
punched that you can't remember that particular one.
I know,
Punched a few noses.
I know there's been some sinker chucking at Frankston back in the day.
No, you got to get me and Matt Hunt together. Oh, I wish we could tell you me and Matt Hunt.
Yeah, we actually should.
People would love to hear the fucking on-water battles me and Matt had. But we're now.
Yeah.
We respect each other now. But kids growing up, the on-water battles for me and Matt Hunt, there was days when I unloaded a whole sinker box like a machine gun into the Shimano Explorer. He was casting shit around my neck and trying to strangle me with garfish.
He's trying to strung you with garfish.
Maybe impale you with a garfish.
There's days when we charge each other in boats off short Portland and stuff, you know. Just all shit.
Polo
that we
Bay.
look back awesome.
Well, that's
anyway,
that's another episode. Yeah.
We'd get us in there together. We'd have some fun.
No, we'll try it. Yeah.
The other thing that happened is I got wrapped up. The prop got wrapped up in someone's line, so I had to pull all that off one day.
Oh, you drove someone's set line basically.
No. Well, it was 50 pound line. I don't know what it was. But it was all over the bloody
50
prop.
pound line.
Some poor kid had his Christmas present, rod and reel. He cast off the jetty, and Brendan just plows past and wraps it all up in his prop.
Well, there was one moment that sort of happened. But
I'm really
I
interested
just-
in the moment where you got Caroline reapered
Yeah. So there was another moment where we got back after half day fishing, and the boys were all half cut making fish flatty tacos.
Yum.
And Mitch, Horsey's son, goes, "Winger, you want some hot sauce on your taco?" And I'm going, "Yeah, slam that shit on. Love hot sauce." What I didn't know, it was the Carolina Reaper sauce.
Ooh.
And as we know,
So tell us
the
a little
world's
bit.
hottest
Yeah,
chili.
the world's hottest chili, is it?
1.5 million Scoville. So it's even hotter than
Scorpion
Scorpion
strike.
Trinidad. And you pour that shit over the taco, and they ate the whole thing. And I was literally doing pawsy Joe, gassing my lips in beer, trying to cool my lips down for about 15 minutes.
Oh man.
It was absolutely ridiculous. I was nearly vomiting. And then last but not least, I've lost forward gear in Chile. So the last few days, I was driving around in reverse everywhere to fish.
Reverse up
So
to a few
anyone
flatty lies.
backing up the channel at Lake, that's because I didn't have forward gear and I wasn't being silly. I just thought it was the only way I could get in.
So you.
Me and Adrian reckon we know why. We reckon
Why?
that your wiring issue heated up something in your gear shift throttle
And milk.
so high
like a
that
book.
it's not synchronizing anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, something like that.
Yeah.
So Mel Moran did that for me. They said, "Hey, plastic winger, broken." So that's sorted out by the boys, thankfully. They got it straight in.
Awesome.
Oh, nice.
What else happened? The Grim Reaper, yeah, he visited me while I was sleeping on that Carolina Reaper. Oh, Joey. One night, think about swags. You should feel safe on a swag, shouldn't you? You leave them zipped up all the time, don't you?
Oh no.
No, I feel vulnerable.
So in theory, nothing can get into your swag, can it?
Wow.
So
No.
there I am that night, I'm drunk, I get in on New Year's Eve, I get in the swag, and I'm looking around, and there was a light on my head still, and I looked up on the roof there, and I don't know how, but the world's fastest wolf spider is dangling above me in the net, in the tent, and I was absolutely, it was like an giant epileptic fit of squealing.
So
I was back in.
A wolf spider.
so he's gone. It's a huntsman, but he's upgraded to a wolf spider, basically.
No. There was a wolf with the stripes and shit, and it was lightning. And I couldn't keep up with him, man. It was just jumping out of the tent, zipping it up, and then stomping all over it for 20 minutes
Oh no.
until he was dead, and then I went to sleep.
Because you actually have one of the most severe cases of arachnophobia I've ever seen. Like, this is not joking.
Not just arachnophobia. We've seen him like attack goannas because he's so scared of him. Like it's any kind of living animal. Like we're talking about geese with their little bill beaks that you don't like and they hiss at you. They're like your least favourite animal, those geese.
Yeah. What's a goose going to do? Ooh. Going to come and punch you with my beak, am I?
Brendan loves animals. You should see when he gets home from work. He gets out of his car, he walks into the house, and it's literally like a scene out of Ace Ventura. He has his arms up like this. Come to me, my animal friends. And then you just see all these animals just like start frolicking towards him.
I've got a 45
spectacle.
kilo Rottweiler, as we know, Joey, and I sit in the couch and she bounds up onto my chest. I was literally sitting here giving me kisses. She just loves me that much.
And
She's
17
my
cats.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't forget the 17 cats.
And the chickens.
No, the chickens are living at Pawsey's house now.
Oh,
we had a chicken update there, Brendan.
Yeah, the chickens are very plump and happy at Borsey.
Yep.
He sent me last week. A couple of other animal experiences at Lake. One night the prawns erupted around the boat.
Oh, the prawns are running?
Well, I wouldn't say running, but it was 3 nights before the fall, but it's certainly a good sign that they were going to run because there was a fair amount of them. I wouldn't say it was a full run, but they certainly a few hundred have popped up. And but the other interesting thing I saw when we were looking at the prawns is there's a local community of water rats. Giant water rats.
Yes, the water rats.
Finn thought they were otters. And they were,
They're all that big. He goes, Dad, look, some otters. Just giant water
Dad,
rats.
I think it was a badger or an otter.
A badger.
And they scoot around in the estuary chasing prawns. They're quite clever.
Yeah.
And they actually go in the water and swim at high speed and everything. They're quite impressive. We caught a luderick on the lure, a brim on a lure.
Oh, yes, the old blackfish.
They were on 16-pound line, which is very unusual. And Finn caught a bloody massive seahorse, and it didn't actually hook it. The seahorse actually grabbed and held onto his lure. So I got a good video of that.
So was it a seahorse or a sea dragon?
Seahorse, but it looks like a dragon.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
One of those
Well,
ones.
it could be a dragon. Yes, it looks like a fire-breathing dragon. they're quite remarkable little creatures.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Interesting. So
yeah,
we'll run
so-
down your mishaps. Your boat caught on fire. Your engine doesn't go into forward gear. You lost $1,000 of lures, and
You got Carolina Reapered.
yeah, you got Carolina Reapered, and
Wolf-sided.
yeah, and your motor guide charging system was catching everything else on
Oh,
fire
the
too.
boat caught on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Memories forever.
Anyway, that's just your standard Brendan Wing trip away. And anyway, thanks for sharing that one with us, Brendan. It's great to get a walkthrough of how you're. When are you heading back up there, by the way?
Well, if I can get my boat to go in non-reverse, I'll probably consider going up there as soon as the wind stops. So I've decided I'm not coming back to work. So
Ever?
I'm just going to sit. Never.
Wow.
So
He's resetting the YouTube channel. He's going to make it great again.
well, there's that.
Yeah.
But also other interests. I'll wean off. There's a few very valuable, important people I deal with that I won't let down, so I'll keep doing it for a little bit. But basically, yeah.
Yeah, nice
I'm
one.
not going to do it.
Oh well, that's
I'm
that's
just gonna
exciting.
get back up there with the board.
Awesome.
All right. Well,
Well,
I
leave.
hope that
Yep.
you're happy with that, and I hope that gave you a bit of entertainment, Joey.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait to come in the studio and do the Joe Fernand 5 to 1 countdown for you.
Oh, that'll
You
never
gotta put it
happen because you always
Got to
have
put
some.
it in an envelope. You got to put it in an envelope, hand it to me, and I'm going to read them out for you.
Look, you used to actually do things in, top 5. You used to rate people in, that's my top 5 people that I choose to hang out with. Or
Today.
No, I know you're into top 5s, so I'd love to have you
Yeah,
in on one
No,
of them.
it's a classic Brendan Wynn joke where you're with someone and you give them a power rating and it's never number 1.
No. It's just you're in my top 3 people I've spoken to in the last hour.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
you're
and-
the top. You're in the top 5 podcasts I've done today. You know what I mean?
Very good.
That's good to hear. Good to hear. We wouldn't want to be number 1. We want room for improvement.
Possibly top 3.
What?
Oh,
Well done.
wow, eh?
I'm going to go back to tuning some jets. You know?
All right.
All right. Yeah, I'm sure you're actually doing a lot there. I'm sure Jeff's actually just doing
Yeah,
all the
Jeff.
mechanical work and you're just standing there telling him what he's doing wrong.
All
See
right,
you,
thanks,
boys.
Brendan. We'll speak to you later.
No
See
worries.
you, Benny.
See you,
Speak
man.
to you in a couple of months, yeah?
Yep. We'll have you in studio when you're ready to come in.
When you've run out of excuses, you can come in.
When there's the experience over, I'll be there.
All right. Beautiful. All right.
See you,
See you, mate.
See ya.
Anyway, I thought that was a pretty good wrap up of Brendan's trip up on the Flatties.
Oh yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't know how to organise a trip properly, does he? Without having dramas, does he?
No, but that's what makes it really funny. So it's always an entertaining listen when you get the recap from him. But we had our own little trip. We didn't go for however many weeks he did. We literally did 1 day of glory rolling, didn't we, Adrian?
Oh, mate. So a trip to Portland is basically like a 5-hour run from Melbourne.
Yeah.
Well, we're from southeast Melbourne, so
For some people, they wouldn't consider doing it for more than like a 3 to 4 day ordeal. Like,
nah.
you don't day trip Portland unless you're seriously keen.
Well,
And
yeah. Well, we had a couple of options. We're going to go to Lake Tyers and chase Flatty with Brendan, and he wasn't doing so well as you heard his stories just then. And I think the only place that kind of had decent reports were Port Fairy, Portland area with Tuna and Kings.
well, there wasn't even reports. It was just in that little period of time before everything sort of started to fire, and you could tell easily what was going on. So
Look, I think you just took it from the top 5 Christmas, New Year fishing spots that I mentioned on a couple of weeks ago.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't on your top 5. I think I added it afterwards.
No, it was it was there.
Was it? I'm going to have to go back and check that.
A bit of banter
Absolutely
between
was.
the boys here.
100% was.
I thought I added it afterwards.
Oh,
He
no,
said,
no.
she said.
Anyway, we worked out that that's what we're going to do. We only had a day. 2 reasons. We couldn't get accommodation.
Yep.
And also, we wanted to be back for New Year's,
With the families.
which I fell asleep at 9 p.m. anyway. But
Yep.
we wanted to be back for New Year's with the family. So we decided we'd just do it all in one day.
Yep.
And how'd that go, Adrian?
Well, we left. I told everyone to come to my house about, I don't know, 3 o'clock in the morning.
3, yeah.
Yep.
So I wanted to leave at 3 a.m. Dave rocked up about 2:50. Everything was all loaded up in the driveway, and Joey rocked up about 3:05.
That's
I
not.
mean, 5.
No.
Yeah, 3
Hey,
No,
hang on,
I'll
hang
take
on.
that.
No,
I mean, no, 3302.
all I know is I got there in time to load stuff up and be waiting for Joe. So
Yeah. Classic Joe.
we got away with pretty good time. And we cruised on down to Portland, 3 or 4 hour drive.
Yeah, 4.5 from Carrum. So
And then, we got there and it was a bit breezier than we thought it was going to be after studying all the maps. But, that's all right. We're in a really big boat.
yeah,
We're in Adrian's 420 Renegade, which is quite a small boat if you know anything about it or you've seen Adrian's one in previous podcasts.
Kitted out absolutely beautiful, I've got to say. Adrian was really impressed with how you fitted out that boat.
yeah.
But we haven't had it out with 3 people
Nah,
before.
3 up. It was a bit testing, but I think we all managed, didn't we?
Yeah, it was fine, but it didn't like planing with all the weight down the back of the boat. So someone would have to sit up the very front to get the nose down and planing again. But then that's like the harshest riding part of the boat. So nobody wants to sit up there and get slammed around.
No. Say no to bow riding, basically.
Yeah, so
It's not fun. Anal pounding, basically.
Oh, good God! So yeah, we managed that, and then the fishing didn't eventuate exactly how we liked. When we got there, the water was quite dirty.
Yeah, it was. We had like all these milky streaks in the water, and it wasn't that cobalt blue. It had blue in it, and it had blue in it, but it wasn't that cobalt clear crystal blue water that we like down there.
Yeah.
We basically went from Portland Harbour basically to JPI twice. We did 2 laps basically,
Yeah,
and couldn't find any fish. We'd been driving about 6-7 hours or whatever, and we'd basically given up. Joey was about to curl up on the floor there, weren't you, Joey?
Well, I had a similar kind of trip at the start of last year, and yeah, once it gets to sort of around the middle of the day, your vision to actually spot the tuna becomes a lot better, because at this time of the year, it's not traditional tuna season where you don't necessarily see them on birds. You're visually trying to spot these fish, and our visibility wasn't the best first thing in the morning. Adrian mentioned there were patches of not great water. There's cloud cover. We've all got polarized lenses on, and we couldn't see absolutely jack shit until it got to around 12 o'clock.
No, it was later than that, Joey. It was about 4 o'clock.
Really?
Yeah.
I wasn't asleep that long.
Well, I don't think it's the visual aspect. Like if they were there, we would have seen them. We've got good eyes. It's just they weren't in there until that tide turned and flooded in.
The issue is we also fished a dodge tide up there. There was only 1 tide a day for the last week down there. So there's literally 1 tide would go for 12 hours down there because there wasn't a neap tide in that at all, in that system at all.
Well, I just did a iPhone check. Yeah, 2:43.
Yeah. Okay, so Joey fell asleep, and then we finally found the fish. So here's us on the boat there, putting the drone up to find the fish, and as you can see there, that's what the fish look like. That's what we were looking for all day, and we finally found it.
That little bit of rippling water.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
So
little black footballs.
Yep.
Well, not so little in that.
Well, there's some good fish in that, wasn't there?
Oh, 100%.
So yeah, we finally found all these fish there, and so we casted the tackle box at them, didn't we, Joey?
We chucked a bit at them. I know you guys didn't agree with me, but I definitely would have loved to have chucked some little 10-gram slugs, some really, really small stuff. I was copping a bit of flack going, oh, Joey, they'll just straighten the hooks, which is probably right, but I've got to challenge you on it. Those fish, we could nudge the boat fairly close to them. So
Yeah, that's true.
well, you didn't do it, so
well,
you can't believe that much.
The problem is, Joey, with those little lures, we didn't have light enough gear to flick them out 40, 50 metres from the boat because, as you know, we tried to get as close as we can and they just go down and run away from us. So
Joe was virtually using one of those lures anyway. He had
Yeah.
like a metal sinking stick bait about that long.
I had a 128-gram stick bait that it's like one of those pencil things that looked like pilchard, whitebait. When we were actually hooked up to one of the fish, I've seen some three separate whitebaits just scatter, and seconds after we seen a pack of tuna just explode on them. So I thought, well, maybe we're going to match the hatch here with that, but they were extremely difficult.
Yeah, as you can see here, that's how close we were to them, and they're just everywhere around us.
That's beautiful footage, Adrian. Anyway, we tried casting everything in a tackle box. We've had this many times before, and it's not the lure you're using, it's their feeding pattern, and eventually they will just switch on and start eating top water. On this day, they didn't. And we kind of go fishing for these summer tuna with three main things in our arsenal: top water, trolled bib minnows, so diving lures, and top water trolled spreader bars. And usually one of those things works, and this time it was the spreader bar. So Adrian actually got some awesome footage when we did put that spreader bar on of just how many fish were coming up and chasing it, and we got some explosive strikes.
We did. I'm going to try to find that footage now of the
spreader bar.
Yeah, the spreader bar. So just bear with me, because I've got a timestamp somewhere on this.
Unfortunately, you missed the first hookup when we had that bar running behind us, where it was just insane. The same fish had about 5 cracks at the lure before he finally ate it.
Oh, it was a brilliant strike. Absolutely brilliant strike.
So here we go here. We've got the spreader bar here, and just out of nowhere, we'd been driving about 2 minutes off the pack of tuna there, and they just come out of nowhere on the spreader bar. So they must have been chasing it for some time.
So for those people listening that don't know what a spreader bar is, like, you've obviously got the decoys, which is the bar, but you do actually have a skirt with a hook attached to that. Is that correct?
Yeah, you have your traditional lure about 20 centimeters behind the teaser, which is the spreader bar. And you can see on this footage, we can't see this from the boat, so we wouldn't have any idea that there's like 30, 40 fish coming in behind that lure. And it's actually quite interesting to watch and teaches you a lot about fishing, because you can see they're pretty switched on and wary. They're following it because they're interested in it, but they know something's not quite right.
Yeah.
So they hang about 10 meters behind it. And then I think you even see in part of this, we go past a bit of weed, and then the tuna see the weed and go off and look at that and get distracted like a bunch of idiots.
Like, he's just missed that.
Yeah. Look,
they're all gone. They've seen the weed in the water and they just veer off.
On one of the passes where we didn't actually hook up, I tend to think that, like, I'm looking behind the boat at the spreader bar. Like, sometimes that actually makes them compete for it. Like, you could see the tuna going over the top of each other, hitting the decoys, and then one tuna commits to the one that's actually got the real hook in it.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's virtually the only way you're going to get a bite there is when you get them competing in aggro and one of them goes above the other ones and tries to beat them. Because if they get a proper look at it, they're going to work out that something's not quite right with it, unless they're in an ultra aggressive mood.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. But it's so funny because when you're out there and you've told guys you're on them, you chucked every lure at them, they suggest lures that you should be using.
Oh, everyone thinks that they could have got the bite when you couldn't.
No, yeah, 100% on the day.
And we actually had mates do that. Hi, Shane, if you're listening. Told me a particular stick bait, and I'm like, yeah, mate. We've tried that. We've tried everything. We've done stick baits. And I bet he was thinking, I'll get them to bite. And then they went out the next day and they were casting at them all day and they didn't get a bite. So you do have to find that one thing there will be something, 90% of the time there's something that will trigger them.
So we basically only went out with top water casting gear basically. And we did bring 2 of my snapper rods just to troll skirts or whatever, just in case we couldn't get the bite. And I'm glad that we did, because we wouldn't have got a bite any other way.
No.
Literally, I think in the very first time we found him, I casted, second or third cast I did, I got this big bullfin, he missed the lure, and that's the only interest we had all day on top water.
Yeah, they followed it, but they weren't ever going to actually eat it.
Yeah.
Even with the hundreds of casts we did. And they didn't really get any more aggressive as the evening went on either.
And sometimes they do.
by the end of the evening, we left. We were still running over schools with that same spreader bar out, and they stopped even taking any interest in that. And
Exactly.
we ended up
7:15.
It's
and we went home, and it was at the very early time of 8 p.m. We got off the water and gave up like quitters, and then drove home through the night.
Well, I think they only ate the spreader bar because when we were fighting one of Joey's fish, there was a tiny school of whitebait. Must have been less than a metre circumference wide, and that's how small the school was. And then as we're fighting the fish, one tuna just exploded on that little school of whitebait.
Have you got that on your video reel?
Oh, no, not here.
Not handy.
No, not handy.
So if anyone wants to watch the full episode of this, Adrian's edited it all together. It's on the UFish TV YouTube page. So
Yeah.
it's a pretty cool little episode there.
Yeah,
It'll
yeah.
show a lot of the stuff that we're talking about now.
But yeah, that's why I think the spreader bar actually worked, was because they're on these real small schools of whitebait,
Yeah.
and a spreader bar kind of imitates that little school that's separated from a big school of fish, I guess.
Yeah,
And
true.
they attack that. So.
But the thing is, they're 90% of the time they are on that bait.
Yeah.
So it's just some days they're just more aggressive, and they'll eat something that doesn't even resemble the main thing that they're preying upon.
Yeah, that's right.
Sometimes a bigger lure, they look at it and they go, "Oh, that's more food, less effort. I'll eat that," and that's why that can be more effective.
Yeah,
is-
I agree with that too. So
Which is also the method we employ with the bigger ones, the big tuna. A lot of the time is we'll run like a 12-inch lure, and like they're feeding on 6-inch pilchards, but they'll still eat the bigger thing because it to them it looks like some separate prey item that's separated from the packet. It's easy to get, and it'll give them lots of food and sustenance with less effort than having to eat a bunch of smaller stuff. So there's endless theories you can go through for tuna fishing, but yeah, so
Just got to find the one that works on the day.
which is what we did. We were pretty keen to catch kingfish down there, but that didn't happen.
Oh, no, that was really funny story.
Yes.
Remember we were in that North Shore in that milky
yeah,
patch of water, and
we saw a couple of boats down there.
we saw a couple of boats. They're putting in big silver wriggling things, and people eagerly leaning over the side with the net. And I'm like, oh, I think they're kings. And then the fella on the boat,
Yeah, I
not even
drove
10
over
meters
there.
from it, he's like, nah, it's the biggest salmon you've ever seen.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm not staying here for salmon. I'm going looking for tuna again.
Adrian really spiraled at that point.
Oh yeah,
He's like, I'm not doing this. And also, some guy apparently we were right on his trolling line because some guy was trolling through there catching the salmon.
We were
And
just floating and watching.
Well,
yeah,
so-
we happened to just float in there, and it's like, mate, it's all right. You can have your salmon line.
No,
Yeah.
didn't he say no? He's driven past, and we've just given the wave, and he's just said under his breath to Dave, "You're right in the middle of them."
So basically, I drove to the edge of this little reef in the North Shore there, and we parked basically right on the edge so we could cast lures on that edge line.
Yeah.
And yeah, he literally trolled 2 meters away from us while we're drifting. We weren't even really drifting because there was no tide.
Mind you, there was 5 other boats in there doing the same thing, and this guy had come from about 200 meters up the other way on his path. So I don't know if he thought that everyone should just scatter so he can continue plowing over there catching salmon.
It's very strange behaviour for a salmon.
Yeah, I know. So at that point, we're like, wow, this is ridiculous. So
And
we went back out.
sometimes the kings are mixed in with salmon, so maybe you got to put up with that.
Yeah, well, no, that is where the Kings had been. So that's
Did
why
that-
people were in there, Joe.
Yep, Adrian, you know one of the reasons why we stood out until last light was you were pretty eager to get. You had 5 tags that you wanted to put into a tuna, and so we kept 2 for the table. The third fish, we put a tag in it.
Yep.
And you're like, I got 4 tags left. We got to catch another 4.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your tags.
So we got these tag cards here. So we have had a few questions about these. Where do you get them from, and what do you write on them? Basically, if you're in a game fishing club, you can just email or call the president of that club, and he can send you some tags out. Or you can email or call the DEPI or DPI, what it's called these days.
Are they specifically just for tuna, those sort of tags? Because I know there's an awful lot of research that goes into.
Yeah, so
tuna?
every tag's a bit different. Marlin have different, I guess, pin heads that go into the fish to tuna and
Yeah,
kings.
marlin are more of like a spear thing
Yeah,
that sits under the skin.
it's like a big,
like an anchor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you push that in and it stays in, and tuna's more of a little barbless hook kind of thing.
And what game fishing club are you a part of, Adrian?
The Latrobe Valley Game Fishing Club.
Awesome.
So if you fish tournaments like marlin comps and stuff like the Bermagui Shimano Blue Water Classic, you have to be in a game club to, I guess, be a part of it. So, and I've been a part of that since 2015, I think.
Awesome.
So run us through some of the stuff that we record on the card.
Yeah, so basically, obviously the species. So we got the species there. I don't know if you can see that. Flight time, minutes, and you got to put your lat and longs on there. And you just write the middle numbers basically, so you know where it got caught. Because I guess it's an honesty system. If someone recaptures it, they can look at the tag, pull it out, or just say that they've recaptured it. So these tuna obviously go right around Australia and all that. So because there's a big breeding ground up north in Broome, is it, Dave?
Is it Indian Ocean they spawn? Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think it's off like Java or something in Indonesia is where they go up to spawn, they reckon.
So these southern bluefin tuna go, quite a long way to spawn. But it's funny because we keep seeing more and more fish every summer down in Victoria and South Australia.
Well, I think, there could possibly be a bit more work done on the movements of tuna because I think when a lot of the sap tagging was done was before we had this fishery that went like through spring and summer, like really strongly.
Yep.
So I believe that's the period when they're supposed to be back at Java breeding. So whether there's 2 spawning aggregations throughout the year or something like that, I'm not really sure.
It's funny because traditionally the school tuna would run in winter, I guess.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing them kind of all year round.
Yeah. So the populations come back really strongly, and now we're seeing what may have been older migratory paths coming back.
Yep.
And so that'd be pretty cool. That's why we tag them. Last year, I think we tagged probably about 20 or 30 fish.
Yeah, until we ran out of tags, basically.
And this year we'll probably do the same because we usually keep about 1 tuna between whoever's on the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
This time, because we haven't caught one for a while, we kept 2, and then we were just saying between ourselves, really 1 would have done us. Like the amount of meat you get off a tuna. So we've spent the week canning and sushi rolling and frying and.
I was pretty pleased with my meal that I came up with. If Adrian's got that somewhat handy.
Yeah, so he made some stir fry thing.
Yeah, just did soy, garlic, habanero, and some blanched broccolini with some Asian shiitake mushrooms and the stringy ones and
stringy ones.
I think they're called enoki. Yeah, so just did like
dogs.
so I just grilled the tuna and then made the sauce and the Asian vegetables and just tossed it through, and that was delicious.
That looks good, Joe. Well done.
Yeah,
thanks.
It is there, Joey.
Yeah.
Well done, mate. So yeah, that was our Portland trip.
It was a long day. Like I think we were on the road for 23 hours. So we fished. I looked at my sounder. We did 130 odd Ks on the boat. It was about 11 and a half hours of driving time, engine running time.
Well, by the way, I've got to congratulate you on your car driving efforts.
Adrian's like some sort of non-sleeping car driving machine.
I don't understand it. Like
he wasn't even just being a hero about it. He's like, no, I'll drive back. I'm like, nah, it's all right, mate. Like, I'll get us some of the way. And he's like, nah. And like,
you have to be so careful about that.
At like 1 a.m., I'm like, I was doing my best to stay awake with him. And like, I think I was dozing off around every corner and waking up again. Joe didn't care. He was in the back sleeping. And I'm like, Joe's asleep. I better stay awake just in case Adrian gets really tired.
I was dead.
But Adrian was like fully still switched on, like no drowsiness whatsoever. I could tell the whole way home. And I was just like,
how do you train yourself to drive like that?
Well, I'm a tradie, Joey, so I travel a lot. I work, around the state, around the country, and I drive a hell of a lot. So I guess I'm just kind of used to it now. I've kind of taught myself how to drive without dying.
Tis no man, Joey. Tis a remorseless driving machine.
There you go. I know a couple of other mates like that. Don't know how you guys do it. Credit to you, but look, got to keep each other awake in the car.
I used to be able to do it.
Yeah, you've had some massive power rolls back in the day.
My biggest power roll is 31 hours straight, Joey.
Yes.
Where was that?
From coming back from the Whit Sundays all the way home.
Hang on, I did like 2 hours of that.
Yeah, so it's a 31-hour drive basically.
What,
and-
Melbourne to Whit Sundays?
He did. It was insane.
Did you guys do it in one hit, or did you
Yeah,
stop
one
along
hit.
the way?
Brendan was asleep in the back seat. Well, no, he was in the front seat. He had his seat so far back.
Had his throne.
He was next to Dave in the back seat. So Brendan's head's here and Dave's head is here.
So I'm in the back seat and I can look across and go, "Oh, g'day, mate." Like his head's like next to me somehow.
Oh my gosh, the back seat would have
Full
been so
recliner.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But one hit.
yeah.
And how many days did that take you, Whit Sundays to
Yeah.
Melbourne?
31 hours.
That's stupid. I'm not doing that again. It's not enjoyable when you're like in that period of half asleep, half awake.
Well, it's funny
Terrified for
because
your
I
life.
remember the Portland trip on the way home the other day. I was looking at it saying 3 hours and 40 minutes when we got to Warrnambool after we ate something, right?
Mm.
And I'm driving. I'm like, it's still 3 hours and 20 minutes. And then time was going so slow. Then all of a sudden we got 40 minutes left to go. I'm like, that went pretty quick. We're in the
'Cause we-
city now. And
Because we whipped on our podcast.
yeah, we did. We listened to ourselves because Joey hadn't listened. He comes on the show quite often and he doesn't listen to anything that goes on.
Yeah, so he tries to reference new things and we've already covered it in weeks past.
Well, I'm pretty sure I just referenced before that I suggested to go to the tuna grounds
Yeah,
on my
well,
top five.
I'm going to go look at your list again later 'cause I don't believe you.
It's right there. Number 3.
Oh, is this last week's one?
No, that was from last time I was on there. I've got the same. pad.
Okay.
Number
Okay.
3.
Okay. All right. You're a fishing prodigy. So,
Prodigy.
all right. Well, so,
Very
yeah,
good.
all right. That covers our little sojourn to Portland pretty well. So, do we want to have a look at what else is happening around the state?
Oh,
with the whip round?
just quickly because we did put up my drone and we'd never really flown it on the ocean.
Yeah.
And the very first flight we did, I was showing the boys, check all the tuna out on the screen and stuff. Then I landed it
Yeah.
and I said, oh no, I haven't hit record because you got to manually
Yes.
hit record on the iPhone,
Classic.
set off the camera.
Mm.
and Dave's like, what? All that amazing stuff you're showing us
I
on
know,
your
it looked
phone.
So good. Luckily, we got it up again. Lucky you didn't realise that at the end of the day.
I
That would
know.
be heartbreaking.
Yeah.
So,
It was funny.
We saved the situation, but I thought you were bloody really good drone pilot, Adrian.
Hey, and you were a great drone catcher.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, you know, when the fish are like that and they're everywhere, it's so hard to not pick up a rod and cast.
Yeah, but I think would have been helpful to you the fact that we weren't catching any.
Yeah, I think
Would
so.
have made you feel better about the situation.
But after I had the drone up there looking at all this stuff, I go, actually, you know what? This is a bit more interesting than casting lures without anything happening on your lures.
Yeah.
This is real fun. Like, I was zooming in and out and looking at all the schools, looking at the boat with the tuna next to us. It was really
I was just
incredible.
waiting for Joey to cast a lure into the drone.
You know what? He almost hit the drone.
Mm. I got
Is that
no
on
doubt.
film?
It'll be somewhere, but I have to have a look.
Mm. So yeah, that was our trip. Pretty fun day. Would I do that again for 3 tuna and 24 hours of no
You
sleep?
wouldn't.
Probably not.
Well,
No.
look, we had the time between Christmas and New Year, and look, I think fair to say, hopefully those tuna should be showing up out of our local waters very soon.
Well,
Well, I
Dave's
think-
going to do a whip around and he's going to let us know what's happening.
Well, yeah, I think they are around out of Western Port, Joe. They've definitely been out of Port Phillip for some time, but yeah, some guys have certainly gone out of Western Port and found some schools of them in the last few days, and I believe there's been some reports from the eastern entrance right down to past Cape Shank. So it's just like it is every year, a matter of driving around until you find those rippling fish, or hopefully what happens is you get the mutton birds come in, and then they're a really good indication of where the fish are because they feed and hang around the same bait schools as the tuna, and usually when you find the mutton birds, you find the tuna underneath them.
The muttons are they in yet?
Well, I haven't seen any, so it'd be interesting to see when they rock up. We saw them in sort of late November, but we haven't seen them in the last couple of weeks.
We did see him quite early and then they
Mm.
just kind of disappeared. Like it was a fake migration.
Yeah,
The real migration should be here.
maybe that was the lead muttons, and then the rest of them stopped at like a drive-through Macca's on the way
Yeah.
down from Russia, and
Yeah.
they're on their way still. So we'll
Well,
see when they rock up because they're like I said, they're a good indication of where the fish tend to hang out.
Yeah.
But yeah, the other thing locally is the kingfish Um,
Down at Welshie.
Yep. Well, that's not locally.
Oh, well,
That's
same thing.
well, launching from our home ramp. There's been some fish taken from Cape Shank.
Yep.
Not massive by all reports, but yeah, everywhere else seems like it hasn't quite kicked into gear yet. But any day now, we should see some solid kingfish captures coming out locally.
Get a break in the weather would be nice.
Yeah, it looks like later this week there might be an opportunity to duck out. So, and yeah, as Adrian's just alluded to there, Port Welshpool, the islands down there, they're firing pretty well with kingfish.
Yep.
Um,
So we had Ace Jason the other week, and here he is here. And he tagged, I think it was a meter fish, was it?
Oh, beautiful.
wasn't it 111?
111. So he tagged that with his mate Shells, Salt Living.
Very fat.
Yeah.
So, yep, he's one of quite a few people who got into the fish down there, I believe. So,
Yep.
we had our mates Kev and Scott. I know they got at least one good fish, and I think Scott got another good one a couple of days before that on top water. So it's all starting to happen down that way, and no doubt we'll see more and more fish filtering to our zone as well, which is very exciting. Moving on from the kingfish, or are you getting up photos still, Adrian?
Oh, I was trying to find something, but I can't.
That's all right. We'll
yeah.
keep going.
Oh, good.
Yeah, moving on from the kingfish, we've got Brendan's just run us through the flatty reports. So lake tires slow, from what he was saying. Lake's entrance better. Malakuta,
Greater.
which is where we said he should have gone from the start, but anyway. So yep, Malakuta good on the flatties. Bermagui really good on the marl in the last couple of days.
Yeah, I did see one boat had 5 shots and landed 3.
Yep, I suspect they've probably gone north of Bermagui.
Yeah, there's
run up
kind
a
of
bit
a
higher.
weird
Yeah.
wind current going on. Like it's doing a circle around up north there.
Eddying.
Yep.
Which is always good because it means that the bait tends to hold up in that eddy, and that's where you'll find your marlin. So just north of Burmy there off Bateman's Bay and north up to JB seems to be producing some fish. That's going to keep getting better. Port Phillip Bay snapper, week 236.
Yep, it's
Still
still
going strong.
going good. Yep.
If you like your snapper and you haven't had enough, if 3 to 4 months isn't enough for you, you can carry on catching them in Port Phillip.
Yeah, exactly. They're not as good size as they were earlier on, but they're around that 1 to 2 kilo fish, basically.
There is
now.
a lot of small ones, but there's
Yeah.
also still some good ones mixed in there. And Western Port, we've got snapper fishing's tapered right off, but we've got quite a few whiting, gummy sharks, and some fair amount of bronze whalers in the system, actually.
Well, one of my mates, he got a decent sized hammer shark down that way.
Did he?
Yeah, Justin.
Yeah, right.
I can't get his picture up because
Was he in Western Port or Welshie?
Western Port.
Oh,
I
there you
can't
go.
get his picture up because
Hammerhead.
yeah. I'll try. Yeah, I'll find it somewhere.
It's all good.
It was actually really decent.
Yeah, right. It's not that often you get like a big hammer in
No.
in Western Port. You seem to get a few juveniles, but not that many big ones. So that's pretty cool.
I'll just do it off my phone because it's really impressive. Like I haven't seen a hammerhead that big caught in Western Port ever.
I think our mate Stu got one about that size.
Wow.
Did he?
Yeah.
So that'd be close to kind of 20 kilo, that fish.
Yeah. Still not a massive one.
No,
The
but
guys
I've only
down on
ever
the-
seen them like kind of a couple of kilos. Like,
The guys down on the 90 mile putting the baits out for bronzies and that have been catching quite a few big hammers,
I saw that.
like real big ones.
Yep.
Like the ones that birth those ones. So plenty of them around, or a few of them around, I should say. And yeah, other than that, for the whip around, I've got the Paddo River. We've hit that a few times lately, and that's been pretty good on the perch and breams.
Yep. Jason's just unreal at that fishery.
Yes, Jace has
But he
shown us-
didn't get one the other night. No one did.
No, I nearly did. I lost 2.
Yeah. Yep. Had a couple of swipes. I was just doing the top water thing and had a couple of swipes. That's it.
Yeah.
But you actually hooked 2 fish. So,
Mm.
dropped
So
them.
I was top watering too.
Oh yeah, you were too. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's a good little fun fishery. But yeah, so plenty happening. We're
Also-
coming into that time where a few different areas are starting to fire up, and there's options galore, which is
Yeah.
very exciting. So,
Also, good mate Phil from Team Born to Fish, he got his first king down at Portland, didn't he?
yes, Phil went down there and got himself a king.
Yep. So he broke the curse on his boat. So that boat is no longer fishless.
So basically, from the day we went down there onwards, there was really good kingfish captures because the water sort of cleared up and the tides were a bit better. But anyway, we still did all right. So
yeah,
so that's what I got for the whip around, boys. Anything you guys want to add, or are you happy with that?
Joey said he had something controversial to bring up before.
No, we've already spoken about it.
Oh, was that your lure thing?
Yeah.
Oh,
you were gonna when you were challenging our authority.
Well,
Joey.
Nah, it's all good. It's all good in the hood, guys.
That's as controversial as Joe gets. All right, question time. Do you want to whip through some questions, Adrian? Let's have a look at some of the questions that were sent in this week, Adrian. There was actually a really strong response on Instagram. If you want
I remember this. This was Australia Day last year, sorry.
Yeah,
that's just a clickbait photo, Joe.
Okay, I understand.
So we've got a few questions from people here, so
I'm going to get Adrian to read through them this week because my throat's still recovering from being sick this week.
Okay, so Joey's good mate, Sub McCluskey.
Sub McCluskey.
He's written in again and he's asking Dave.
Love your work, Sub.
Okay, so when Dave's whiting fishing, does he prefer fresh hippies or mussels? Also, what's your opinions on snapper bag limits, especially in PPB? So basically, he prefers not to go whiting fishing, if that answers your question, Sub.
Which is to my disappointment because I've actually heard a lot of people say that Dave is an incredible whiting fisherman.
Yeah, because it's not very hard. It's actually quite funny, that question, because, I don't really prefer whiting fishing, but when I do, I usually just use a combo of squid strips and like half a pippy or pilchard fillet and squid strip fillet, and usually one of those things gets them going. It's not really that hard.
Dave, what makes a good whiting fisherman?
Someone willing to move around a fair bit and basically you burley quite hard, move around quite a lot.
That's the number one key. So I think the last charter we did, we had the burley pot, and me and Dave, we had about 3 people on the boat, plus me and Dave. And me and Dave were just casting next to the burley pot, and we were the only ones getting fish.
Yes.
So you got to cast at your burley pot, basically.
Basically, the way you get good at it is you do it a lot. You work out areas where they're holding, and then when you're moving, what you're doing is actually striking areas off the list as to where the whiting are. So you try some shallow spots, and then you might move depth. You might see they're in the deep water, and a lot of that is current dependent. If it's a slow tide, there might be more of them in the deep water. So you change your depths, you change your locations, and you fish according to the tide and the weather. Sometimes those really shallow spots where you're fishing, the sand beds are too hard to fish because you've got a wind against tide scenario.
Yep.
And you can't hold your boat on the right spot, so you end up having to go slightly deeper where you've got a bit of current to hold you in position, or move around so you're in the lee of the wind, and then you sort of find them that way. So a fair bit of moving about, burleying, and just gaining that knowledge from time on the water, I reckon.
Put me down on your next whiting charter, Dave.
All right. You'll be waiting a while.
So, and the other part of that question in the Port Phillip Bay snapper, so obviously that's going to move ahead with the times. This is my opinion. And the bag limit will cull, I reckon, eventually.
Well, I don't know. It seems like it's an incredibly successful fishery. So if the current bag limits are working, then I don't see a reason to change them just for the sake of it. If the science says that that's a good bag limit, then I'm going to go with the science.
Yeah.
But I do think it's on everyone to self-police themselves. And if you honestly think that you need that whole bag limit of fish to take home and eat, then that's fine. But if you're happy to just take home 1 or 2 and use all that meat, then maybe you only need to take home 1 or 2. And you don't have to keep your whole bag just because you can.
Well, I think the commercial netting has definitely improved the fishery of snapper for recreational anglers, because you do see quite a lot more snapper these days compared to those days where they were netting them all. And
well, I think one of the main issues was the scallop dredging.
Yep.
Which ripped up a lot of the Port Phillip seafloor and lot of the spawning grounds for snapper. So it gave us quite a few years of crap snapper fishing. But they've come on pretty strong now, and these I think they worked out that this year and next year are supposed to be quite successful snapper years based off the recruitment that they measured years ago. So they can sort of forecast when it's going to be a good season and when it's not.
Yeah, don't they? I understand, like they net the pinkies down at Black Rock on all of those little inshore reefs and stuff, and they monitor them every year, and they're able to actually forecast, prediction on the numbers.
Yeah, spot on.
Basically, yeah.
So hope that answers your question, Sub. Next one, Adrian.
We're going to go through all of them, are we?
Well,
there's quite a few.
So
we got Luke.
Yep.
He's saying, do you believe that the Southern Australian JB to Portland fishery is well managed, and what impact do you believe that fisheries have on its health? Keep up great content, lads. So I think he's talking about tuna fishing, basically.
Yeah, right.
JB to Portland. Is that what he means?
Yep. I'm pretty confident that the science is solid behind our bag limits and stuff there. I think the unknown thing is that we get a lot of international fishing fleets sitting outside Australian waters hammering the bluefin stocks. So I don't think that can really be measured properly. So there's a little bit of unknown there. So I guess, using the information available, they set limits that they think are the best. So I'm sure they know a lot better than I do, and I feel like it's pretty good at the moment. But I'm not a scientist. So
you touched on it before. Like, we've almost got a year-round tuna fishery, bar a couple of months.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, the amount of the biomass of fish out there is just crazy.
Well, good mate in Tassie, Yona Jick, he's caught bluefin every month of a year. 1 year, didn't he? A couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show that they are there all year round. You just got to be fishing for them. So,
like right now, we're getting fish obviously down at Portland, which is on the border of South Australia.
Yep.
And he's getting them down at Tassie, and then there's fish, down here locally. So there's a massive spread of fish happening, and I think it shows that their numbers are really good, and probably the bag limits that have been put in place are working well. But like I said, not a scientist, so hopefully that it keeps our fishery in good shape.
Yeah, I think it will.
We're kind of just we're trusting, and then once again, we're only taking what we actually need. We're not that fussed about the actual bag limits because we don't really keep our bag limit.
Yeah, and the next question is, watch a couple of old videos from U-Fish days, and could you ask Joey where his favourite place to sleep on a boat is? Because that seems to be a common theme. Joey, do you sleep a lot?
Look, if we're doing these, 1 day fishing bonanzas, I get tired pretty quickly.
Okay.
Favorite place to sleep on the boat? Oh gosh, I remember a picture of me actually. Winger's old bar crusher. I think it was the 6 meter open cab version. That had a pretty nice cushion up the front.
Yep.
Yeah, that was good.
You love that.
Oh, that was good.
All right, next question.
Well, actually, I'll just quickly. Thanks for sending that one in, Sean. I reckon Sean would be interesting to get on the podcast because I do think he's a mutual friend of our mate Mark Schulte.
Oh,
and
okay.
I remember some legendary stuff those two got up to where, correct me if I'm wrong, but Sean here, but I know that you're vision impaired, and Mark and yourself caught some massive tuna together, and it was just pretty incredible, the story that he told of how both of you working together on the boat to gaff and land these fish, a lot of it through verbal communication. So,
oh wow!
And I know there was like a couple that were up around 150 kilos. So,
wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, no, I reckon we should get him on and maybe get Mark on, and they can tell us the story because it's pretty legendary.
Yep. Oh, well done, Sean. That sounds like a great story. So the next question we got there is from Australian Trailer Boat, asking the ultimate offshore trailer boat.
Well,
it's
obvious, the 420 Renegade.
I think we kind of covered that on one of the previous podcasts, didn't we?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
I mean, yeah, there's heaps of awesome stuff. To quickly rattle a few off would be
The Freeman 47.
that's American.
Oh.
The Coodercraft, their bigger boats, the Veach, Astrators, Edencraft.
The old Bertrams are making a comeback too.
Yep.
People are putting outboards on them and they're looking great.
Noosa Cats are super popular.
Mm.
So, yeah, check out one of our previous episodes there. I think we discussed that one in a bit more length. So,
Okay, I'll try scroll through stuff that we've already answered through.
yeah.
So I'll just answer stuff that we haven't had
The
before.
tagging thing we just covered. Big run out of the boat. We've already done a rundown of Adrian's boat.
Yep.
Won't worry about that.
G-spot.
G-spot lures. Have you had a chance to play with your G-spot yet? I think he's referring to the lures that he was nice enough to give us.
Yep.
Yes, we've bloody cast them quite a lot. And for some reason, we haven't really caught many tuna over these summer periods on the biggest stick baits. It's always been the poppers that have been really good for us. So
he gave me a popper, so I'm going to try it this year.
yeah, so we've tried the stick baits quite a few times, but to be fair, we tend to go back to our old favourite poppers because it's so exciting watching them
Oh, yeah.
eat them, and then we know that we have success on them. So
Popper fishing is just such a visual way of fishing for these tunas, isn't it?
yeah,
They just like full on buff at it, swipe at it, and
but I
it's
was
amazing.
I was chucking my G-spot on that trip to Portland, and it looks sensational swimming in the water. So I got no doubt that they'll be really good when we get the fish in the right feeding mode. Next one, Adrian.
Okay, so we got
Filming tips.
yeah. What tips do you have for those of us who are new to filming our fishing action on GoPros and drones, especially surrounding, eliminating wind noise, and increasing voice volume and editing software? Well, I think the wind noise and stuff, we put wind slayers on our GoPros. That removes a bit of it. Yeah, with editing software, I just use the Apple standard one. Was it Final Cut Pro or something?
iMovie.
Yeah. No, Final Cut Pro.
Final Cut, yeah.
Yeah.
We
I
also use
that.
Premiere Pro.
Yep. And yeah, you can increase the volume of voices on that. So
Yeah, but it's always better to start off with high quality stuff than have crap quality stuff and try and fix it in post editing. So we found both Final Cut Pro and Premiere Pro to be kind of even, both good programs.
And-
so whichever one of them works better with your system, then go for it.
And when flying the drone the other day, we made sure we had one GoPro filming on the boat so we could sync audio with the drones, because obviously drones won't film audio because they're so loud and make a giant hum. So
And wind reducing, we use
the wind slayers.
yeah, use like a foam windsock that you can buy just on eBay pretty easily over the top of our GoPros. Adrian will show you it now.
That's a wind slayer.
Yeah.
I've
So
seen them.
it's just a foam sock that goes over the whole GoPro and it covers all the mics basically. So it's just a big cat fluff basically.
Yeah, so that's actually sensational at cutting out
do you
heaps of
call
wind
it?
noise.
What do you call it? A dead cat, Joey?
Yeah, Road Dead Cat.
Yep.
So, yep.
So
Wow.
yeah.
That's horrible.
Yep.
So, I think we answered that one all right. How much fuel did we burn at Portland the other day? And how many kilometres?
I think we burnt about 55 litres and we did 135 kilometres on the water.
Yep.
Which is pretty sensational.
Yeah.
In
That
that in
little
a
50.
4.2
You know what?
meter.
I put that custom tank in there. So I got Steve's custom welding to do a bit of aluminium work. And I said, mate, I want the biggest fuel tank that can fit in. And I think it ended up being about 97 litres. Sorry, we've got a bit of interference with Dave's phone on the mic there.
That was a bit weird.
Yeah. 97 litres we got capacity in the fuel tank. But if I know I'm going to do a longer day, I'll take a 20-litre Jerry with me as well.
Well, we still had 40 litres left the other day and I was still scared. Because I was
How
like,
much more longer can you go?
I just can't believe it's only used that much fuel. I couldn't trust it. I still felt like in the back of my head that we could have run out of fuel even though we had like 40 litres left.
Yeah. Most overrated boat and most overrated boat mods, Dave?
Oh,
That's from Wilson's Graham.
that's harsh on the boats. I'll go with a mod first.
Yeah.
Leaning posts on small boats. Light tackle leaning posts. You know those things
Yeah,
that everyone
yeah.
started getting?
Yeah.
It's like a what they are is basically like a half game chair that you lean on and then they've got rod holders and stuff on them. But I feel on a smaller boat like 6 meter and under, it's just taking up so much real estate on the deck of the boat, and it's just unnecessary. That's how I feel anyway. It's just more crap in the way. So I feel they're overrated. Overrated boats. Nah.
Yeah, it's hard to say because they're people's pride and joy, basically. So
And people are buying what they can afford and what suits them personally.
exactly.
And I think every boat, it's got its good and bad points about it and price point.
I'll speak briefly about. I had a Cootercraft gunshot for a long time. Now they're pretty highly rated, wouldn't you say? People rave about them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They've got a really good name for them. Loved it. Awesome boat. Definitely what people say is true. But even something like that is so highly rated, it's got its downfalls. Like they're not very stable at all, and they do tend to be pretty wet when you're trolling into a sea. The nose tends to punch through the waves a little bit.
It does.
So you've always got to compromise with whatever boat you buy. The boat I've got now, it's more stable, but probably doesn't ride quite as well as the gunshot that we had before. Still pretty good though. What I believe is a really good compromise, and that's what I'm happy with. But some people just want that out and out speed and ride, and that's what they go for.
Yep.
So, horses for courses. I don't think there's any really bad boats on the market. I just don't think they'd last very long. So whatever boat you buy, and that's what suits you, and that's good for you.
The thing is, you can buy any boat you want, and then you can set it up the way you want it.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
it doesn't matter what boat you got; you can set it up for different things.
Yeah,
And the way
as long
you
as
wanna
the
fish,
core
yeah.
construction's reasonable.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, which
Right.
most of them are these days.
Next question. I'm always scared to go offshore fishing, as I think what happens if it does blow up out of nowhere. So he's talking about his motor.
No, he's not. He's
No,
talking about the wind.
Oh, is it? Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You don't
so-
want it to blow up offshore when.
So
No,
he's talking
well-
about the wind, not his motor. Dave
Yeah.
corrected me there.
All
How do you
I,
guys go about it? I have a 4.5 meter streaker cuddy cab, so they're quite a light boat anyway.
no, I
4.5, yeah.
you have to realize that I don't want to encourage anyone to go out when they shouldn't, but you have to realize that your boat is 90% of the time a lot more capable than you are.
Yeah.
You're going to fail before the boat is. They can actually withstand quite a lot of seas. So unless it's some sort of freak storm that just comes out of nowhere and it's not forecast, your boat should have there should be enough margin for the boat to get you home if it does chop up. If there's a bit of a front come through, obviously we look at the weather forecasting and we make sure it's reasonable weather before we go out.
You
so-
guys look at like 3 different weather channels before you make a call on is
Yep.
it going to be a suitable day for whichever boat you choose to take out.
Yeah, so you look at the wind and then the swell and also the tide as well, because they are the 3 factors that are going to create mishap, I
Yes.
guess, offshore, especially offshore. And we also look where the wind's coming from and see what's happening where the wind is now, because that can tell you what's going to happen offshore where you want to fish.
All right, just very quickly, let's take case study last Thursday when we were out at Portland.
Yep.
So we've seen that the forecast on which channel were you looking at?
Medeye.
Medeye.
Yeah.
And what did Medeye forecast? Like we were in a
Foreca-
4.4 meter tinny.
8 to 10 knots.
Yeah. It was basically that all day. So,
Yep.
But
Yeah.
sometimes, yeah,
It was 8 to 10 knots. You're the captain. You've gone, that's going to be safe
yeah.
for us.
I've been out in a lot shitter weather than that, but
But like even worst case, if you are out in a small boat and some random front comes through that's not forecast,
yeah,
it's still you're gonna have wind shot coming through.
Yep.
But if the weather hasn't settled in and been crap for ages, it's gonna give you that. You're still gonna have time to get in before it really, like the sea really turns to crap. You know what I mean?
oh yeah, 100%.
Like- So I wouldn't stress about it too much. Obviously, just go on a decent forecast, and then you should be right pretty much most of the time.
No, that's great.
I think also if you're not confident as well, go out with a couple of boats. Go out with another mate for your first time. Watch the weather forecast, and yeah,
Pick your launch location. So that's a good thing about small boats. Sometimes you can sneak into ramps that some of the bigger boats can't, and ramps that are a lot closer to the ocean, so you got less traveling distance.
Yeah, it's always good doing that.
yeah. Calculate your fuel as well. Like
Yeah.
figure out for your engine, how much liters of fuel do you burn per kilometre.
Yeah.
You can use plenty of good GPS apps to figure out, okay, what's going to be your run to which offshore location you want to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Is that all the questions?
Yeah, that's all the questions we got on the Instagram post that you just put up. So,
Oh, great. Oh, there was one on YouTube.
oh, was there?
So Simon Webster's asked, what is the most obscure bait or lure you've had to resort to during the red hot bite when your primo bait has been exhausted and you just have to keep things rolling?
Right.
Can you think of an immediate example? of
Okay,
that?
I can think of a bait scenario. Well, down at Welshie, snapper were going off nuts, and basically we had no bait left. We had scraps of sunburned squid that had curled up, and we were about to pack up. Dave's like, "Oh, I'm just going to chuck all of this bait on one hook." It just looked like a disaster. It was like a bird's nest, and chucked it down. There was no tide left, and literally the rod buckled over. And we caught, what was it, like an 88 centimeter snapper or something?
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
89, mate.
Yeah.
Robbed me of a centimetre.
There you go. And yeah, we caught a good snapper on it, and that's the only scenario I can really think of when we've
Yeah.
resorted to bad bait.
Yeah, we're actually normally fairly prepared on the bait front. The other day I had a hot snapper session and only had one fresh squid.
Yeah.
And I suppose we ran out of that pretty quick. And then I had, just as a backup, I brought thrice frozen squid with me.
Yeah.
And that was pretty pink and yucky looking, and they didn't have an issue eating it. They still smashed it.
Yeah.
So sometimes when you get them in that feeding mood, it doesn't matter about freshness. But then when you do have the fresh bait, you don't get the snapper sometimes.
Yeah, awesome.
Very frustrating. Nothing, Joe?
Um,
It's okay. You don't have to have something.
No, that's fine. Oh, look, I'll just put it out there. I was fishing out at Flinders on the 27th, and I was with my uncle. We were gummy shark fishing, and he had some bait that was thawed out. That the squid was looking a bit pink. It wasn't looking very nice. It was sitting in brown mank water, and I managed to catch some yakkers. He had the burley pot at the back, and I said I could see some yakkers on the depth sounder at anchor. I've sabikied up a couple of yakkers. Instantly, I put a yakka head out, a fresh yakka head, and it got a 7-gill shark pretty quickly.
Do you eat those 7-gill, Joey? Enjoy them?
No, I don't eat them, but it cut us off at the boat and the sinker.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sinker stealers.
That sounds like hell.
Yep.
All right. Well, that wraps up the questions. We're going to pick a winner and send out some clothing.
What question comes to your mind that you enjoyed answering there, Joey?
Can we chuck them up on the screen again so I can refresh my memory?
I've got to bring it back
That was
up.
a lot of questions.
Okay,
Fine.
so this is what we got. We had Subs. He asked about Dave's whiting. We had Luke, who asked about the fishery impact on the tuna fishing from JB to Portland. We had Sean Foley ask about Joey's sleeping. Oz Trailer Boat asked about the ultimate offshore trailer boat.
I think the one about the weather
Yeah.
offshore. is
Okay,
an
yeah, that
interesting
was
one.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who said that?
I don't know because you got ahead of
Jo-
it again.
Yeah, no, it's Jordan.
Yeah.
Jordan asked about that.
All right, Jordan.
And he's Streaker 458.
Yeah, great question.
All right. Well, thanks, Jordan. We'll shoot you a message, get some sizing, and send out your clothing. As you can see behind Joe there,
Yep.
there's some
There's
packages.
a box.
Show on the package, Joe.
Yeah, they've got to get sent out to previous winners. We still haven't
Got
done
a couple
it
there
'cause we've
ready to
been on
go.
holiday.
They'll be going out.
So this is our first episode of 2022. So I just want to thank all the guys that have liked, commented, and subscribed to our YouTube channel, and keep the comments coming in with questions. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Well, I reckon that's a good way to kick off the year, Adrian. Good positive way to kick off the year. And
Yeah.
we'll see you again next week.
And it was good to have you in again, Joey.
Yeah, anytime, guys. Love your work.
What's up, you bloody legends? Thanks for listening to Wind Against Tide again. That's it for another episode. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'd be doing us a massive favour. Thanks, guys.